I don't think my skills would be in the nitty and gritty. Although I do find myself like sort of thinking up manifestos and like sort of a little bit, but I would rather someone else take that lead. I would rather Gary do it. But like, yeah, this is what I try and do. And I guess perhaps because I've not got an academic background and maybe I'm making a mistake, but I try and like take populist type feelings or even like talking points and just spin it to like left-wing shit, basically. Like, I am not anti being pro-British at all, but I try and change what that means. Like, if you say, oh, I love Britain, I'm a British patriot, great. You fucking love your country, you love the people around you, you love your community, and you want to help everyone in your community. My definition of being like British and pro-British is being in the people around me, like the country. To someone else, it's like white people, or it's like people with this accent, or like whatever. And so like I try and just take those things and redirect it. I basically try and do what right-wingers do to us, but do it back at them. So it's like, take the feelings of anger. That's where you were saying like the Green Party, maybe they need to take those feelings and just fucking direct it to the actual problem. And I wouldn't say I guess there is a risk that it can become radical. And but what is the alternative is to allow the other side to be radical and go in a very dark direction, or we take and play some of those games and hope that we can manage I don't know like what is the answer, but I always try and do that. Like I always say I'm super pro-British. I'm pro-British, and I would be like, I would personally love to see us not make our towns completely cater to like supermarkets that are like multinational companies. I would much rather we had like farmers markets that are all local traders and they could all come and like maybe we subsidize it, maybe we help them. And then it's local, it's British, it's communal. I love that shit. There's nothing wrong with that for me. But I suppose some people on the left maybe would be a little bit scared of like just even because it sounds nationalistic, and that's like perhaps there's a problem there. But I don't want it to be that. Like,
I mean, but when you talk about like pro-British, like I entirely agree with you. I love a farmer's market.
That's what I'm saying.
I love a farmer's market. Like the most like woo hippie thing that I'll buy into is like unpasteurized milk. Like I'll take.
Oh my god, you're on that.
No, I mean I tasted it once, and it was like unhomogenized unpasteurized milk, and I was like, maybe I should just get botulism. Like maybe that's fine.
It's worth it.
I was like, it's delicious. It's so creamy. But like, I think maybe the bit that people disagree with, and I wonder what you think about this, is does it mean that you've got to whitewash and rose tint our history?
But that's what I don't think. Like that's a good point. So what I try and say is like being proud of like what historic Britishness is just purely how you look at it. Like, I look at the battle for workers' rights and our push towards a more equal society. That is a thing that happened here. Like we had, workers' rights, trade union, all that sort of stuff, the labor movement. We kind of spearheaded it, and we were kind of unfortunately forced to, because that was the world that was created for us. But there's a sort of there's two stories of Britain, which is the powerful type, all the fucked up shit. And then there's people that actually tried to stop that and fight back about it. Like the women's rights movements, the anti-slavery movement, all of that was a section of the people that fought against the nasty forces.
So is it about tracing a line through that, I guess, you pick out the stories and the events and the people which embody the kind of politics you want, the one of solidarity, pushing back against power. Yeah,
and picking those figures like a Clement Attlee or like faces of those eras or movements and groups of people that push towards something good. And obviously back then, like there's probably problems with the trade unions. They probably weren't like super inclusive or whatever, but they started the journey towards where we're trying to take it.
Have you ever heard of the Lancashire cotton famine?
No.
So it's an incredible moment in our history, and I didn't find out about it until a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, like this is actually a story that people need to hear. So the Lancashire cotton famine happened, the American Civil War was raging, and because of organising that was happening within the churches in Lancashire, the workers in the cotton mills said, we're not going to work on slave-picked cotton. We're going to uphold the embargo.
Damn.
And what that meant was they couldn't work, they couldn't earn a living, and people starved. There was rioting, there was disturbances because these white, English, working class people were bearing the cost on their own bodies.
Damn, that's sick.
Which is incredible, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be so much hard. Like, who was it talking about? It was like how they managed to achieve, let's say the post-war consensus, how they in their scenarios in their life, like their living standards, managed to achieve it. Like we all feel powerless to someone like an Elon Musk and that, but at least we got the fucking internet. At least we got, we eat. Most of us eat okay, so we're not like skinny and struggling, and we don't live in slums as much. We have, and those lot did it from the fucking ghetto, like the slums, and they managed to like organize together. They had to hand out bits of paper to each other to explain their theories. We have like, I don't know, like there is some way of looking at the past and being completely okay with saying like, we did some absolute fucked up shit and we should 100% be accountable for that. We need to try and, even the way the world works now still is based on that dynamic. Like that's all like that extractive model that is still there. But there has always been that other story of people trying to undo that and change it and fight back against that. And I'm proud of that.
Does that make you feel optimistic when you reflect on it?
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm just thinking like, man, if they did it in those scenarios, we're fucking easy for us. I don't know, maybe I'm too optimistic, but...
Do you ever stand?
I don't think I'd stand, but I've sort of done that same thing, Gary, because I just don't want to be going to Parliament every fucking day to do, like, I like sitting, like, I like going to the gym, I like, doing badminton, I like doing my shit.
Badminton?
I love badders. So that's like middle class of me, they exist. I've been a waitress before. But I love badminton. But like, I couldn't imagine going to Parliament and shit, but I like what Gary says, which is like, try and influence the thought. And I think like my skills are in like storytelling, and just like thinking openly and honestly about stuff. I think that's where my skills are. I don't think my skills would be in the nitty and gritty, although I do find myself like sort of thinking up manifestos and like sort of a little bit, but I would rather someone else take that lead. I would rather Gary do it, and I'd rather like I need to think about Mick Lynch, but I feel like a Mick Lynch or one of those lot.
I always say this, which is that the strategist and the figurehead are usually two different people.
Yes, I have a bit more of a strategic mind.
Maybe you should be the Keith Joseph to Gary's economics Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And that's a terrible comparison.
But I feel like Gary doesn't want to do it, so, and he should do it. He is definitely the guy. But yeah, I don't know. It's at the moment, it's like I think there is a growing like movement that started growing about understanding, I guess, wealth inequality and class and things, and it's becoming bigger and bigger, which is awesome. And lots of people are like want to be active. But yeah, I guess it's finding the figures, finding the movement, and finding like what to do, because like we have like 3 options, which is either you do like some mass sign up to the Labour Party and try and do what movement, I guess, kind of Momentum kind of did, which is like, just change the Labour Party. But the Labour Party brand's quite fucked at the moment.
Also, man, like when Momentum came along and Corbyn came along, like Peter Mandelson like came out of his coffin and was like, not on my fucking watch.
Really?
Like he's not
That's
letting that happen again.
Labour, it's like it's almost too far gone.
They'd rather burn down the whole party than let the left take it over again.
Why? I don't get it. They're not doing a good job. I don't get it. And then the other option would be, and I'm the only one that says this, so take it with a pinch of salt, is like Lib Dems, get Ed Davey to fucking apologise for austerity, admit he was wrong, admit they were wrong, and explain the problem. Because the big thing at the moment is like, someone needs to take accountability for what the fuck we did and explain to the people that fundamentally on like a ideological route that like austerity and neoliberalism isn't working out the way we thought it would. Like mass privatization hasn't worked out how we thought it would. We were wrong. We're sorry. Someone needs to do that.
Red Ed Davey.
I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I am purely looking at it from like a aesthetics point of view. I think he has a good personality, and like he has been saying some of the right things, but whenever I say that, people point out like 20 things that are like, that he's one of them. Like, but I don't know. I like that he's a bit more aggressive and assertive against like Trump and stuff like that. He's had some things about wealth tax or like taxing rich people and stuff. Like he's got some of it, and like the route is there for them, because like although the Conservatives and Lib Dems did austerity, Lib Dems just from a purely like aesthetics point of view, they didn't really. You don't tie austerity to Lib Dems. I know a lot of left wingers will, but in public imagination, you think of Conservatives. You don't really think of Lib Dems that much. Labour have now fucked it, and Lib Dems have kind of got, and I think you can see it in the polling that Ed Davey's like becoming a bit more popular. They haven't got the baggage that the other parties do, but you'd have to fucking fundamentally coup them and completely change their party. Like they're. So anyway, that's an avenue.
Do you know what their strategy was in the 2024 election? Was that
do stupid shit on it.
No, they made a map of which places had a Gales bakery, and they were like, "That's a Lib Dem target."
Their coffee's not
You're like,
good baked goods, but
good baked goods, but other than
stick
that-
to the baked goods.
But I mean, I'm
That's so funny.
I mean,
That's
but
crazy.
it's real. They had a Gales bakery strategy, which maybe contrasts with Reform, who are like, all right,
How many Gregs?
deindustrialized, working class. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, would it not? I mean, this is my provocation. I'm not saying something that I believe. I'm just saying some shit.
Yeah, shooting the shit.
I'm just shooting the shit. Is that like maybe what you would want is like, well, Reform at least are speaking to working class people. Like, you know.
That's what I mean. You need to fundamentally change Lib Dems. Like, I'm not saying what they're doing. I'm just saying, like, I like Ed Davey as a personality, and I don't think politicians are particularly like deeply held ideologues. I think they're just like they'll kind of go with what's working. And
I see you've met David Lammy as well.
I think like, yeah, I don't know. I reckon if there was enough pressure, because you can see that he's like he's stopped being a bit populist. That's what I'm saying. He's being a little bit populist. And then the third option would be Greens, which politically and like their actual perspectives are kind of like pretty sound from what I've read. But they get a little bit of kickback from their NIMBYism. I think that a lot of people say they like shoot down like building green shit, which is kind of insane. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. They just don't have the figures and the faces, but I think they're aware of that. And I think they're trying to do something. I don't know, like I saw one thing of like some geezer at a pub saying some Green Party stuff, and he was saying like, we're not worried about the boats and the shores, we're worried about the yachts or something like that. And it was like, I know what they're trying to do, and it isn't like there yet. It isn't as powerful, but the ideas are right. And the Green Party again doesn't have the baggage that any of the others, even if left wingers don't really love Lib Dems. But yeah, they need like more charisma. And I don't know, I think they should repackage the whole green shit. Like, I think they need to make green technology like and the push for renewables to be a topic on sovereignty and like ending wars, and like explain again. You'd be like, look, we've been engaged in endless wars over oil, and like it's fundamentally like every crisis tends to stem from something to do with oil. If we just had some more sovereignty over our energy supply, we'd be less like controlled by outside forces, and we'd have a bit more sovereignty. And that's like messaging wise, that's quite a good, again, this is what I was saying about take some sort of right wing
it sort of
tropes.
it cuts through both left and right.
Exactly, because it's true. And it's like, but when you start saying about, I don't know, end climate change, although of course it's like we need to do that, it doesn't have the same immediate feeling for like your average voter and sovereignty over, like, you can see Russia have invaded Ukraine, you can see all this shit popping off, and they're quite aware that oil prices have fucked up their cost of living. So it's like, if you sold it, instead of being like, you know, we need to save the planet and the fishes and the turtles, which, you know, I like turtles, but like we need to like talk about sovereignty over energy and how it would affect your cost of living, and how by not being tied to these insane people so that we can power our country, it's probably better for everyone.